Okay, I'm going to do a couple homework problems that seem to come up a lot. People have circled and people had trouble with getting them wrong or just a little confused. So here's number 47 on page 111. So it's asking us to complete the square. So completing the square, we always want to move our c to the right side if it's set equal to 0. Here it's not set equal to 0. Our c is already on the right side. So first thing is we want to always divide by our a, because our a needs to be 1, so that means I have to divide everything, including the 7, by our a. So we get x squared minus 4x equals negative 7/4. And now we can find our new c. We always add our new c here, and we add it here. So if you want to draw a line there, you can. And then that better represents that, hey, I'm going to add something there. So nothing's going to change to this 4x, this x squared minus 4x when you find your new c. You're just going to add that new c there and to the right side. So it has to add to both sides. Okay, so we find the new c by taking our b and dividing it by 2 and then squaring it. So my b divided by 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 squared is 4. So we're going to add 4 to this side and add it to here. When I add to this side, I have to have a common denominator, so I'm going to turn this 4 into 16 over 4. Now I can add like terms. Negative 7 plus 16 is a positive 9 over 4. And then this side is x squared minus 4x plus 4. Now we can go ahead and factor that left side. And we created a perfect square trinomial, so it's going to factor to x minus 2 quantity squared. And it's always going to factor that way. That's why we want to always want to take our b divided by 2 and square it, because then we're always going to get a perfect square trinomial. Now we can get rid of that squared by square rooting both sides. So we square both sides and want to take the square root. I always have a positive negative. I can take the square root of the top over the square root of the bottom. I get left with x minus 2 on the left. Now I can go ahead and simplify my square roots. So plus or minus 3/2. We can add 2 to both sides. So we get x equals a positive 2, and then plus or minus 3/2. And I can actually solve this, right, because those are both numbers. I can take 2 and add 1 and 1/2. So I get 3.5. So that is 7/2, right? And then I can take 2. So I took 2 and I added 3/2. So that's 4 over 2. So that's 7/2. That's why I got 7/2. Now I'm going to take 4 over 2, and I'm going to subtract 3/2. So then I get 1/2. So those are both my answers. Okay, so there's that one on page 111, number 47. Okay, on page 121, number 48 came a lot of questions on that one. So this one is dealing with college tuition and fees for in-state colleges for 4 years at public colleges between the years of 2010, between the years 2000 and 2010, and it's modeled by this equation. So they give us this equation, y equals 3.026x squared plus 377.7x, running out of room, plus 3449. Sorry about that. Let me move that over. Okay, so that's what the model is. And then it says that when x equals 0, it represents the year 2000. So that means x equals 5 would represent the year 2005, and so on and so forth, right? So they want to know, based on this model, this equation here, we want to know for what year after 2000 was the average cost of 7,605. So that'd be cost. X represents the years, so x is equal to years after 2000, right? After 2000. And then y is representing the cost, right? The average cost of tuition and fees. So the money. So they give us the money, 7,605. So we plug in our y, and then we're solving for years, our x. So here we have a quadratic equation, right? Because we have an x squared. So if we subtract over the 7,605 on both sides, then our equation, our quadratic equation, would be set equal to 0. And now we could use the quadratic formula and go ahead and solve this thing. Okay, so here's my A, here's my B, no X's in A and B, just the numbers, there's the coefficients, and C is my constant. Now I can use the quadratic formula. I'm just going to do this on a calculator and type it in, and I'll show you kind of how it looks when I type it in the calculator. Okay, so this is how different types of calculators look differently, but basically this is how you type it in. You do parentheses, a negative, and then your A, or your B, and then you add the square root of, and then you have to do, when you type the square root button, some calculators will type this parenthesis in, so then you have to add a second one. Type your B, push the squared button, close that off, push subtract 4, parenthesis, your A, close your parenthesis, then open another parenthesis, put your C in, close that parenthesis. So here you close off C, now you're closing off this top root, and then this top one you are closing off that whole top portion. Then you hit the divided by sign, then you do a parenthesis, 2 times, parenthesis your A, parenthesis, close that, and then close off the bottom. Press enter, and I got 10.2 years. And then since it's plus or minus, I would have to come back through, erase this, and put a negative, and do it again, and that's where I got the approximately negative 135 years, which you can't have negative years, so that one doesn't matter. So it will take until about 10 years, about 10 years, so 2010 until it reaches, it'll take until 2010 to reach, what was it, $7,605. Okay, so those are the two problems that come up the most on those two homework problems. Let me know if any others come up, and then I can do videos of those and send those out to you.